Good morning, Jefi. How is your morning going?
It's going really well, Ed Billings.
I'm glad to hear that. We've got a really interesting in our minds episode, but we think an important one, and it's going to be part of a bigger series down the line. And we're really going to be diving into the concept of digital wellness and talking about some of those concepts and how to eliminate distractions. You excited
Yes,
for that?
I am, and it's interesting because I was looking over our show notes, and I do a lot of this already, and I think I do it because I don't really like the distraction. So it's kind of neat that we're both walking this journey in different ways because I'm sure everybody's walking it in a different way. But it's hard for me to get work done when my phone is constantly bing bonging me or there's notifications popping up. It's a lot.
It's a
So
it is a lot, and
yeah.
it's something that I think people are becoming more aware of. And it's funny because I am taking some training in this area, some
Hmm.
coursework, and making these changes, and I'm already seeing huge productivity enhancements and just kind of settling things down.
Right.
But I find it very interesting because I'll hear these concepts and I'll be like, "Hey, Jeffy, I just learned this," and she goes, "Oh, I've been doing that for years." So you're like way ahead. You're like way out in the tail of that area doing those things. But we can all learn some of the science of what's going on and how to do it even better. So
Yes.
so that's why it matters is that you really need to have strategies to promote that digital awareness and or your productivity will suffer.
Right.
So
You have a really cool quote that I want you to share.
yeah, thanks for reminding me on that. So Milhai Csikszentmihalyi, who we've talked about before, he's a psychologist.
Ooh, every time you
Yeah.
say his name, I'm like, can I say that name?
That's right. I love saying that name just to like throw down. But he's the grandfather of flow psychology and
Mhm.
you know, pretty renowned psychologist, but he said attention is our most important tool in the task of improving the quality of experience. So it's all
Mm.
about your attention. And there's a war going on for that, for our attention right now.
Absolutely. We're the commodity.
That's right. So we're going to hit
Yeah.
some key points here and some
Good.
ways to win that war.
Good. And you're going to start with digital tools?
That's right. So again, a little bit more on background. The digital tools that we use now, so all the apps,
Hmm.
everything that's on our computers and phones, they're deliberately designed to distract us. That's a design feature because they make money off of grabbing our attention, and
Yeah.
they want to pull you into that.
Yeah.
So, all those apps are trying to win the war to say, hey, look at me. And when we get that look at me little positive reinforcement, hey, you've got a like, hey, somebody needs to hear from you. Hey, whatever it is, that
Hmm.
notification or when things are changing movement, it makes you feel good. And you get literally a hit of dopamine, which is like the
Yeah.
feel good hormone that says, ooh, I feel good, right? And
Right.
it's highly addictive.
Hmm.
And it's so, the key point here is it's designed to do that.
Right. This just made me think of something I was pondering the other day why I started doing all this so long ago. And I think it's because I really felt like someone was sitting in my living room with me when I was having my own private space and time. And I was constantly being pulled to someone who's not even in my state or in my sphere or anything. I was being pulled out of my current mindset. And I didn't like it. And it's to the point where I think I overcorrected a little bit just between you, me, and every listener that's listening because I turned everything off. I mean, my phone doesn't ring.
Yeah. Well,
And
actually,
for
we're going to talk
years.
about those strategies.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but that's a good thing because it's literally, and I think that's why that's why you get so much work done in a short period of time, is
Hmm.
you've recaptured your attention. Because if you're working along, it would be like if you were in the library
Yeah.
and you were working along, and then every 5 minutes somebody was tapping on your shoulder, said, "Hey, excuse me, I got a question." It breaks your concentration,
Yep.
and it will take you, scientifically they say it takes about 12 to 15 minutes to get back to that state that you were in, just by having somebody literally tapping on your shoulder.
Right.
And so it's a huge issue, and that's if you're looking for productivity, there's things we do where the systems are designed to distract us, and then there's the distractions we seek, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. So
Right.
yeah,
So you can't, we wrote this, you can't fight the war for your attention passively. And although I don't like the word war, but you can't, you have to be an active participant in changing these patterns. And this is really cool because you, Ed, are learning all these great things right now. And I've done a lot of these things, but not, maybe not as well as I could, but I've, because I did a knee jerk reaction of just getting it out of my face. Um, but deleting your notifications, that's a big one.
yeah. So again, on this, as you said so well, you to carry on with that war analogy, right? It's like you
Hmm.
can't fight it passively, and the default settings on all your apps
Hmm.
provide you no defense, right? So
Right.
so so the first step, if you want like real action items on how to start to take control, step one would be delete all your notifications. And
Yeah.
that takes some guts. Yeah, I literally, in this training I went through and did that. As I said, okay, on all my apps, the default is, hey, we want it, we're going to notify you. Oh, you
Hmm.
got a Venmo. Somebody Venmo me. Boom, it comes up. Oh,
Hmm.
somebody liked what you said. Boom, it comes up. And so I went through on the app levels and turned
Hmm.
off all the settings for notifications, and did the
Yes.
same on my MacBook, right? So that's step one. You go
Which is
through, and
hmm
which is
super
big.
important. Yeah, I
Right.
remember when you were doing this process, and it's not easy. Like it takes time, and things slip through, and then you go, "Wait a minute, I thought I stopped that notification." So this is a process. It's not a 5 minute deal. You need to set some time aside to do this. But for someone who has just done the notification thing, were you worried that you were going to miss a client call? Were you, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you have a system in place to handle that. And and I want to, and after you tell us what your system is, I'm going to tell you what mine is.
Yeah. So for that, I set a schedule for checking my email, text, and calls. And part of
Hmm.
this is like anything that has an inbox in it on the app level, so on the phone,
Hmm.
I put on a dedicated, the last page of my apps is all
Oh,
the things that have an inbox. And so at
that's a
10, 2,
great
and
idea.
6, yeah. So one, it's not at
In your
scaring you in the
face.
face. There's no
Hmm.
red dot saying you received
Hmm.
something. And
Hmm.
then at your designated time, you go through and you check those inboxes. It's a
Okay, so
very
you have,
different experience.
it is, and you have 3 times a day that you do that.
I'm doing that right now at 10, 2, and 6. And I've let Beth know that's my schedule, my assistant.
Hmm.
And obviously, if she gets alerted to something, she can call, she can get a hold of me if there's
Yeah.
something that's pants on fire and I need to respond to it. But 10, 2, and 6. And I find emails, people give you a lot of grace. There's not an immediate
Hmm.
response element there. The text, that we'll talk a little bit later about the next step in that. But tell me about your system and how you do it.
So when I first originally started this, I did have a timer on my phone because it was new to me. So I didn't want to not check things. But now, and I don't have, mine are still on my front page of my phone, but I don't think I look at my phone as much as most people do because I
Mm-hmm.
wear a watch for time. So I'm not checking my phone for the time. So that's a big one too, that I think that if you will wear a watch and you're into that, you don't have that knee jerk, oh, something's here, something's there, and then you get lost in that shuffle.
Right.
And I own an iWatch. I don't use it. I think I used it for 2 weeks, which is really sad because they're expensive and Sorry, Cody, now that you're hearing this.
He
But
knows you're
I
not
have,
wearing
I know.
it.
No, but I mean, yeah, you're right, he does. But I just have a Fitbit watch that I wear. And it's super simple. It's got the time on it. That's all I need to know. But in the beginning I had the alarms. Now I just when I complete a project, I check my phones. So I get into my flow state of doing whatever I'm doing and then I stop and I do that. Now, I will tell you the same thing that you have Beth doing, Raquel does for me as well. So Raquel will check all my texts and voicemails and emails. And if there is something that's uber important, like a referral or a lead or an escrow is having an issue, she calls me and her phone, she's in my favorites, my phone will ring.
Right.
So we have a backup plan because I think where people get nervous about doing this, and especially in our fast paced career, is they're so afraid that they're going to miss something. So I know we haven't talked about this. I might be putting you on the spot. What if someone doesn't have an assistant? Would you advise them to check hourly? Would you have a different, not a 10, 2, and 6 plan, maybe every 50 minutes or every hour and a half? What do you think would be? And again, sorry, everybody, I'm putting Ed on the spot.
No, that's fine. Well, with the training I'm taking, they would say no. Like
Right.
you need most things are not as urgent as you think they're going to be. And they may be
Hmm.
important, but they're not going to be urgent. And letting people know. I mean, one way to combat that is on your voicemail. If it's actually a call saying I check at 10, 2, and 6, right?
That's it. Yep. Hmm.
And we'll get back to you. I mean, you also have to let your clients know and people around you in order to better serve you and be able to do the deep work that's the core of my business. This is the schedule I'm on.
Right.
Because if I'm constantly checking your phone, you're never going to get into flow to get the deep work done to better serve your
Hmm.
clients.
Yeah.
You can tell yourself the story that you will, but you won't be able to because you're constantly going to be, breaking your attention.
Right.
And you're so productive because you've been doing this for a while and you can get
Hmm.
that deep work done.
Right.
And we're going to dive, in other episodes more into this, but that would be my opinion on that being put on the spot.
Okay.
I think you just have
Yeah.
to let people know and communicate that out as quickly as you can.
Yeah. So this is, and another layer to that is when I go on my initial appointments with my new clients, I always say, hey, if you reach out to me and I do not respond, it's because I'm in an appointment. So just like I'm in an appointment with you, I would never look at my phone while I was in an appointment because I want to give you all of my attention. So if you lay that out from the very beginning, it works really well, I think.
Right. Well, and the other thing
Yeah.
I would say is that because we work by referral, if we're really doing a good job of educating our clients on that, they're going to say, hey,
Yeah.
send it to Jefi. She's not going to get back to you right away because this is why. I mean, they kind of preset that.
Right.
So I think there's ways to combat that and scoop
Hmm.
up 95%. Hey, could you miss an opportunity? Yeah, you probably could. Like you go on vacation, you miss an opportunity. Things slip, but the
Hmm.
greater good will come out of it.
Right. So this kind of leads us into finding your biggest weakness.
Yeah, and I want to talk
And now
about
I
that
get to
one
put you on the spot.
again. Yeah, so absolutely. So we've been talking a lot about the external things that come and tap us on the shoulder, but
Hmm.
now let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the distractions we seek because we're getting that dopamine hit and that interest, and hey, things are a little hard. I'm going to go here and bring myself up and do this. And then next thing you know, a lot of time's gone by and you're not as
Right.
productive and you've broken that concentration. Um, so what you want to do here is have an honest conversation with yourself and know where you're wasting your time. And your phone will tell
Keyword
you that.
honest.
Honest.
Keyword
That's right.
honest.
And you'll get that feedback you'll say, hey, this is where you've been spending your time. So for me, for a lot of people, it's social media. That's not what it was for me. I mean, I really
Hmm.
don't check social media that much. The big one for me were news feeds. If I was in I want to get distracted, I would go and I'd look at the Apple News feed, and now I'm in this scroll thing about all these headlines that are sedacious and I'm getting, thrown down that rabbit hole, and I could look up and
Yeah.
see 45 minutes has gone by, right? That
Yeah.
was my
And
crack.
your brain. And not only 45 minutes has gone by, but your brain is going to, for the next 3 hours, be processing all the crap you just put into it.
That's right. And that's called cognitive load. There's only so much you can handle, and you've
Mm-hmm.
just filled it up with garbage rather than the work that you could do, because it feels good, because the tool that you're looking at is designed to make you feel, oh, I'm excited, right?
Right.
So what I did as part of this is I said, okay, this is my weakness. This is my
Mm-hmm.
kryptonite. I took all the news apps off my phone, deleted them. Boom,
This is a
gone.
really big deal for Ed, everybody, because this is a definite addiction.
Hi, my name's Ed. Hi,
Yeah, but
Ed.
okay, so you took them all off.
Yeah, no, I took them all off because I said,
Uh-huh.
this is the thing I need to delete. So boom, blew them all away, made a commitment, no cable news, anything like that. Nothing to check during the day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I did is I said, okay, so I've eliminated this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but I want to stay aware and be newsworthy and be able, I'm interested in that stuff. And I went, well, wait a second. I get the Sunday New York Times, but I've never been reading it because I've read all those stories already
Right.
throughout the week. So I said, I'm going back old school. I'm going to get the Sunday New York Times on Sunday, have my coffee in the morning on Sunday, and go through the paper and
Mm-hmm.
read the deeper analysis and get current on what's been going on. And
Right.
I've done that. Completely different experience.
Yeah. You're in control. You don't have someone sitting in your living room with you while you're scrolling through your phone.
Yeah, I can read the
Yeah.
headlines and go like, yeah. And then, if I want to go deep, I can go deep. And now I'm reading and I'm
Right.
thinking, and it's not images coming at me and different things. And because I've clicked on this, they're bringing me the next story up.
Mm-hmm.
All that's gone. It has made a
I, lo-
huge, huge difference for me.
I love this. This is so cool. And it could be social media for somebody. It could be, who knows what it is.
It could be
WhatsApp,
Pinterest.
it could be Pinterest,
Yeah,
it could be anything,
could be
right?
anything. So kind of dig deep on yourself and like, what is it? What do you think it is for
Right.
you?
Uh, I love donkeys.
Okay.
I know, it's so crazy. I love gardening and donkeys and cooking, so that's what it is. So if I get into, like, in my brain, I'm like, ooh, how can I make my soil better? And I'm like Googling all these things, and then that takes me into rabbit holes. That's my kryptonite. Like, because I'm always seeking more information about stuff like that. But
Awesome.
it's not a particular app. It's my brain, and I'm not really sure how to put that on pause. So when we figure that out, I'll let you
Well, we'll come back to that one,
know. Okay,
which
good. Yeah. So to wrap this up, you and I had an incredible conversation yesterday with a gentleman by the name of Royce Branning. And
that's
he
right.
owns a company. He's the founder of ClearSpace. It's so timely for us, right? And thanks to our production team for introducing us. Thanks, Seth. Um, we had a great conversation with him. I have to say that a lot of the terminology he was using was really difficult for my brain to handle, but I loved it. It was challenging. And if you want to Google him and look him up, you please do. We'll put a little link in our show notes for him, but he's going to be a guest on our show. And he's going to take us on an even deeper dive and share a lot of the stories of people who have done what we've just discussed and how it's affected their lives.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. And it's so
Yeah,
funny that it just
I know.
fell in our lap as we were
Serendipitous.
already doing this. So
I
serendipity,
know. I
real
know.
thing. So be
Right.
on the lookout for that next episode. We hope
Yeah.
that this helps clear the channel for you a little bit. Be brave, dive in. You'll feel the calming effect. We really encourage you to give it a shot. And we'll be taking on more topics in this pillar, if you will, for our future shows.
Love it. Thanks, Ed.
Bye bye.